Sorry, just testing technology here.
Ready? All right, we'll call to order the December 17th, 2024 meeting of the Long Lake City Council. It's now 6:31 p.m. All council members are present this evening. Please, for item 2, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Item 3 is mayor's comments, Long Lake News, meeting review, and updates. So fair amount to talk about or bring up folks up to speed on since our last meeting 2 weeks ago. Start with our Long Lake holiday tree lighting event on Friday, December 6th at Holbrook Park. So that was a great event. We had visits from Santa and Mrs. Claus, kind of a special appearance there. And some council members were present, and great turnout from the community. Special thanks to our park board for all the work that they did putting that event on, and the individual park board members. Also sponsorship from local businesses like Caribou and Ace Hardware and Long Lake Area Chamber of Commerce, and there was a couple of others as well. Should wrote them down, but we do, like I usually do, but we do appreciate all the sponsorships for that. Great event, and then we had a new tree this year as well, which was great. So a new tree that was planted, not the tallest tree yet, but it will be at some point as it grows taller. And then the next day, the Long Lake Fire Department Auxiliary hosted an annual food and toy drive at Station 1 of the Long Lake Fire Department. That was a great event as well. A lot of donations that I saw that came in for food and toys that the auxiliary collected. Again, Santa Claus was there. He was busy in Long Lake this weekend. So good to see that, and good to see the turnout from the community at that event. I've attended a couple of events I've attended the last few weeks. A couple weeks include retirement event for an old school board member, Mike Bash, and Allie Howe. There was an event for them on December 10th. So Mike Bash, of course, former mayor of Long Lake and resident of Long Lake, served many, many years on the school board. So we appreciate Mike's service to our community on the school board, and Allie's as well. I attended the Wayzata Crime Prevention Coalition monthly meeting last week, and that included Tim Holtman was there, and Tim is wrapping up his time on the Wayzata Crime Prevention Coalition after 11 years of serving on that coalition, essentially since Wayzata Police event last week, and at that was Mayor Marvin Johnson's from Independence's last event or last time attending that group, and so he's winding up his 45 years serving as mayor of Independence. I think he's going to turn 90 next year. Known to be one of the longest serving mayors in the United States. And no, I don't plan on being long. Close to that.
Oh, come on.
I hope not. But no, he's done great, and he's going to be really missed by our group, and really just a stalwart in our community for what it means to be a public servant. And so there'll be a big event for him that the City of Independence is sponsoring at the end of next month. I think it's going to be open to the public. And then finally, a passing. Jerome Borgert passed away last week or two. He was known as Mr. Borgert to me. He was a high school teacher, 10th grade, I think, social studies. And Mr. Borgert lived on the property that is now Zavago Long Lake. So he lived there for many, many years along with his family. And his house was sold to kind of pave the way for Zavago of Long Lake. I believe he lived across the street in his remaining years at Orno Woods. So Mr. Borgert will be missed, and I know I talked to staff too, and they've had a lot of great interactions with Mr. Borgert over the years, who always went by Mr. Borgert, right? Not his first name, but even in City Hall, he was known as Mr. Borgert, so. Yep, so he will be missed. And his memorial service will be on January 11th at 11 a.m. next door here at Rettinger Funeral Home. There's more information on their website. So a lot of updates in the last couple of weeks, and it's a busy time of the year. All right, with that, we'll move on to item number 4, which is to approve this evening's agenda. I'll make a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Nice, I'll second that. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 5, consent agenda. It's items A through J on the consent agenda this evening. A couple I'll point out is item G, approval of special event permit for Sled Dog Days at Birches on the Lake to be held in January and February. So that's always a great event. Yet to do that, but maybe this will be the year to do that, and hopefully it'll be cold enough to keep that ice frozen. Also, item H, donation of 6 boxes of holiday lights from Gopher Ace Hardware for our holiday tree in Holbrook Park. We very much appreciate Gopher Ace's donation. And then also item I, conditionally appointing Nicholas Lopez to the position of paid on-call firefighter for the city of Long Lake. So we appreciate Nicholas stepping up to serve our communities served by the Long Lake Fire Department.
So are the 6 boxes of lights, the lights that are on the tree right now?
I believe so. Yeah. It's a lot of lights.
They look nice.
Right. We're not quite Rockefeller Center tree, but it's getting close. Yeah. Any questions for staff on the consent agenda items this evening? If not, entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6, open correspondence. Open correspondence is an item on the agenda during which the public may address the city council. No formal action is taken by the city council, and comments shall be limited to 5 minutes or less. Anyone wish to approach tonight for open correspondence? And no submitted open correspondence, is that correct?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. So with that, we'll move on to item 7A. Presentation of Community Service Award to City Council Member Gina Joyce. That's you. So, should I roll into this, staff, or did you have something prepared that you want to talk about, or?
I have something I'd love to add.
Oh my gosh.
You start.
You let me,
If you don't mind starting, I know you have a thing there in front of you
yes.
to present. And when you are done with that, I have a thing I'd like to share with Councilmember Joyce.
Oh my gosh, okay. All right, great. Doing okay, Mark?
Your microphone doesn't sound like it's.
Mark, you're very busy this evening.
All right, well, Councilmember Gina Joyce is just finishing up her first term on the Long Lake City Council. Maybe it's last, maybe it's not. You know, we never know the future, what the future holds. So you've been serving this community dutifully over the last 4 years. Your husband, Thomas, has also served on the park board. Is that the same 4-year term or period of time? Or?
We actually started park board before I joined council, so I think we had been doing that a year before.
Okay, and that's
Yeah.
right. You run the
Yep.
park board as well. Yep. So
They were our very first husband and wife team.
that's right. Kind of a package deal, and
Yes.
come from a home, physical home that has had a lot of council members in it too.
Yeah,
so.
it seems to be the thing. If you live in that house, you must be a council member.
That's right. It's in the ordinance. So no, I personally really appreciate having you on the council these last 4 years. You've done a lot of great things to help our city along. We talked during the work session about our city logo that's right here. Wish we had a better color version to show, but you were really the inspiration behind that. I know you worked with a friend of yours who's a graphic designer to create that, and I always see that all over the city. Gotten a lot of great feedback about our logo and how great it looks and that sort of thing. So we appreciate that, and I personally appreciate all the effort you put into helping us with our fire department situation. I know you and Councilmember Qualley were on the legal kind of team for that and helped pick our law firm that is representing us and has done a phenomenal job representing us. And you helped me a lot with behind the scenes, kind of preparing things and getting things ready for the legal kind of situation we've been in the last couple of years here. So I appreciate that. And then all the park board, you're a liaison to the park board. You've done a lot of great work to make our parks better in our holiday tree lighting event, which you really started, or you and the park board started during
There
the time
was
there.
one in the past, but I
Oh,
heard it was in a
right,
parking lot of
right.
the liquor store, so I like to think we just approved upon it, but
Yes,
yeah,
it's
it's nice to see it, it going strong in Holbrook Park.
a big improvement over there. Yes, that's exactly. So that's been great, and just been. I think this is really, we're winding up 4 years here, 2 years of just a really great council. We'll have great councils in the future, but I just think we had the perfect combination of people here to kind of deal with what we've dealt with the last 2 to 4 years with our fire department situation and all the other kind of things we've been tackling in our city. And I ran into a former mayor at the Long Lake Area Chamber of Commerce event at the Rooster last week, and she was very complimentary to us as a council and all we've been through in the last couple of years and how well she felt that we've stood up for our city, and you were a big part of that. So thank you. So some comments from me. Anyone else want to make some comments before we turn over to our city clerk, Jeanette?
I think your rebranding was great, Gina. I think you were a great inspiration for that, and I like the way it turned out. As you said, you got a lot of compliments from residents on it.
Thank you.
And it'll forever be embedded because I don't think anybody else is going to take
Never
that.
going to change it.
Yeah, take that up
I mean,
again.
it's about as custom as it gets when you get your view from the dock
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
skyline. It's pretty fun
Well,
one.
thanks for spearheading that.
No,
Thank you,
yeah.
Jeanette.
Jeanette too, yeah.
Yeah, the logo is very cool. And I mean, we got on the council at the same time, and I don't
Yes.
know if we knew what we were signing up for the
No.
last few years. But no, it's been a lot of fun working with you. And as Charlie said, I think we had the right puzzle pieces in the right places, and I think you were definitely very, very instrumental and helpful in getting things to go.
Thank you. It was fun getting to know you while we campaigned too. That was really
Yeah.
the first time we
Okay.
really got to know each other. So
Door knocked together or something?
kind of
Fierce
compared notes.
Okay. Nice.
I'll just add that I've really appreciated your perspective, your opinions on things that are just very well thought out, independent of other thoughts at times, and that's why Charlie said this has been a great mix of opinions, and I've just appreciated that you're a real smart person that has really good thoughts.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So thanks.
Tenacious too, I think.
Yeah.
I think there was a former council member that since resigned who made comment to us about your tenacity and how
Okay.
that kind of created some, I don't know if fear is the right word, but yes, you're very, you stand your ground and principle and that sort of thing. So
Yes.
very much you kept us kind of on track in many ways, I think. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, Jeanette, did you want to do
So
some
it
words?
starts with a little story. So years
Wow.
ago, when you work somewhere for a really long time, sometimes you go and do crazy things, and because you start to invest a little of yourself. And so we had this logo, and my sister was a glass blower, and I got this wild idea that I was going to commission my sister to do something special, so that when mayors left, I could give them a special gift of my own because I've always had such close working relationships with mayors. And then occasionally I'd give one to a favorite council member or two who I'd worked with for a really long time, but they were mine and I got to do whatever I wanted with them because I paid for them and my sister made them. Well, now they're kind of completely irrelevant. But that just makes this more fun.
Oh,
So,
Should I open it now?
yes, please.
Okay. Oh, it's heavy.
Yes, it is. And just remember our project with a smile and know you've left a permanent mark on Long Lake. And you always have a friend here.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Oh, wow. Yes, that's beautiful. And our former logo is front and center.
And now the special gift just isn't the same.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very thoughtful.
Yes, that's great.
And just,
That's hilarious.
remember the inside joke whenever you
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You're not see that for sale in a little shop in Grand
Oh,
Marais
no.
or anything.
No, no. Can't put a price on this. Thank you.
You are welcome, and thank you for everything. It was a joy to work with you on that project, but just a joy to work with you in general. Thank you for a million different things, for keeping me posted on some things I didn't always get to stay up to date on. Just working with you has always been fun, and it's been almost a little more of a friendship at many, many times, so thank you for that. I'm gonna miss the heck out of you. So,
Call me anytime.
I would love to do that. So thank you.
Make sure you subscribe so you keep getting council packets.
Yeah, do you ship up there?
All right, so with that, we have a plaque to present you. So it is a Community Service Award presented to Gina Joyce in appreciation for dedicated service and commitment to the city of Long Lake. City Council member, January 2021 to December 2024. And it's even got our nice new logo on top there.
The pretty one.
Solid.
Not the old and the new.
Before, right after.
It's to you. And,
Awesome.
And,
Thank you.
yes, thank you for everything.
Thanks,
Gina.
Charlie. Thank you. Thank you all, you guys. We'll have to get a picture later.
Yeah,
All of
don't
us.
bolt out after the meeting. We'll some photos up front
Photo.
here. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's been an honor to serve the community and not an easy decision to leave. So, but grateful to work alongside you and learn from all of you. And it's been an awesome experience. I don't think I can ever not be on a city council now because I know so much, and I wanna continue to contribute and be a part of wherever we live. So, thank you for all those lessons and just for an awesome 4 years. And Todd, thank you for stepping up and filling the chair. So,
Was that to or away?
but
You'll get a plaque like this too if you play your cards right.
46 years, not 45.
you know where to find us. So please look us up if you're ever up north.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
definitely will. So, all right, Gina, more to come. Not the end of the meeting yet, so. Okay. With that, we'll move on to item 7B, as in boy, adoption of ordinances amending the city code and zoning code related to cannabis and cannabis businesses. We have a special guest tonight filling in for Hannah. And if
Hi.
you could introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, hi, Mayor and Council. My name is Lori Johnson, and I work at WSB with Hannah. I've been a city planner for almost 30 years, but don't tell anybody that. Hannah's, as you know, everybody's doing cannabis tonight, and some cities aren't quite as far along as you all are. So we're all kind of helping each other out right now. So With that, we'll get on with the staff report that she prepared and this PowerPoint that she prepared as well. So as you all know, the state of Minnesota recently, well, not so recently, passed a law on adult use cannabis, and then also the operation of cannabis businesses in Minnesota. And so the OCM, or the Office of Cannabis Management, will issue licenses to all of the proposed cannabis businesses. The cities may register these cannabis retail business. They also can limit the number of retail registrations according to the population of the city. And Long Lake has decided that they will retain registration authority, which means that they're not delegating that authority to Hennepin County to handle all of the registrations that are proposed. And so you have some ordinances in your packet that were drafted based on feedback received in your previous work session. And so the first thing that we want to talk about here is the cannabis buffer map. Right now, when you're looking at this, I'm just going to go back. Here we go. So when you're looking at this, you're looking at the buffer zones that the state is allowing for different types of cannabis businesses, and the state has specified features that that you may buffer cannabis from. So the state also has decided that there's a maximum width that each buffer may be. And this buffer map illustrates the maximum allowable buffers from relevant uses in and near the city. And so just to let you know what the color coding here is,
And I should mention, they received a black and white copy in their paper
they
packets,
did?
but they have
Oh.
color in their e-packet.
Oh,
so-
okay, that's good to know.
Yep.
So what we've got here is the purple that you see here is the 1,000-foot school buffer. And then the blue here is the 500-foot daycare buffer. And then the green is the 500-foot park buffer.
Is the school buffer, is that from the dome? That's from the dome, though.
Yeah. No, the green, I believe, is, or yes, you're right. You're correct.
Oh, sorry, the purple.
This is the dome location right here. Is that what he
Yeah.
told me? Okay, yeah.
So that was that's a youth sports facility, not.
It is a youth sports
Yeah.
facility, yeah.
And is this for
Well-
use or for sale, the buffer?
This is for the
Distance from.
Retail
the
businesses.
cannabis, the businesses,
Sale of
Yeah.
cannabis.
Retail, not
retail, yep,
not the,
Industrial.
yes. Then this is for the retail, cannabis retail.
Because isn't the industrial is in the wholesale
Yes,
manufacturing?
Okay, actually, they're all listed on page 54 in your packet. The 1,000-foot school buffer, the Minnesota Preparation Academy Trip School at 2465 Wayzata Boulevard.
So that's the
gonna be your
one.
purple.
Yeah.
Your 500-foot park beach feature buffer, that's here on 54. It's gonna be your Holbrook, Nelson, Dexter, and Hardin Park. And then, of course, there's, I'm sure, the next map you were gonna be presenting on
Yep.
we'll get to that one in a second. And then the 500-foot daycare buffer, the two blue zones, that's the Children's Montessori in Orono, and also the Little Acorns Daycare in Orono.
So the purple, the trip school, is that the dome? That's the dome?
School, soccer facility.
yes.
Oh, so it's just called the
facility.
soccer school. Okay, I'm sorry. I just.
And so the planning commission, when they reviewed this, they asked that the disc golf targets at the Nelson Lake Park side, or Lakeside Park, be added to the buffer because that course is utilized by children. So they wanted you to think about that. And of course, these buffers don't actually go into your ordinance. It's something that when you get a license for, Hannah will take a look at this map and see if it fits within those buffers, or if it doesn't, then it's okay to allow those licenses.
So the center of your circles for the parks is a structure on that park, right? Not the
Yes,
edge of the park.
it's a structure.
And it's usually the playground equipment then, I assume.
Playground equipment, but I believe she said that this was one of the holes on the disc golf course too that was added.
Right.
So,
There you go.
here's the map that shows how it expanded when you put that disc golf target in there.
Oh, that yellow,
Yep.
Yep, it's a little hard to see, but
Yeah, this little tiny thing right here.
And then it's if any part of that building, that business. So if you have a strip mall and half the strip mall on this side might get shut down, but the other half
Right,
could have a license.
yes.
And then that says that the Highway 12 serves as a barrier.
Yeah, the planning commission also suggested that Highway 12 actually acts as its own barrier. And so, they did not, say that the buffer zone should cross Highway 12.
is there any reason why you see not to include the disc golf feature?
No, I don't believe so.
Will there be any pushback if we did that?
I don't believe so, but I'm not as familiar with your city to know what is in that extra buffer.
what's in that extra buffer is a little more of the Creek Ridge Center and a little more of the town center.
And the beach,
So
or in our
if
empty
it-
lot.
It would be the edge of Primo,
almost all
so
of
then
it.
you get shut down, and then the BP lot's not in it, but the rest of the strip mall is, I assume would be.
Yeah,
included,
so
right?
these units,
Gonna hit part of the town center too.
yep, so these units would be open, funeral home, and this unit and chiropractor would be open
On the back side of
on
the
the
building.
backside.
What was,
It
are
might
we,
get
The
Primo
Ace, the
plus
Ace
one.
Hardware would still be outside that, right?
were we putting the buffer as Casar 112 too?
no.
No? Okay, because I thought if you wanted to go to the BP station or the strip mall.
I think
Right,
that-
if the disc golf area is included, that pushes it over. into
Yeah,
the
pushes it
BP
out
light
this way.
lot. So I guess.
So essentially, eligible locations fall into a very narrow window in B2A.
Which is.
I think it's a good idea.
Which is where? Like the pink?
The red.
Or these-
The pink is the industrial district. It's not
Okay.
zoned for retail.
Oh, isn't that salmon?
and that one. Yeah, it's like,
Because is that B2
After
or
20 years, I
B1?
have the one.
I know.
Is B1 the salmon?
So B1 and B2 are your downtown districts, and B2A is the service business district along Wayzata Boulevard up there.
But what about where Gopher Ace is? Is that salmon and that's B1?
Gopher Ace, I don't recall off the top of my head which is B1 and which is B2, but B1 and B2 are there in the downtown area in the salmon and the pink, and the light pink.
So based on the buffer, you can't have anything, it overlaps, so you could have it at the funeral home?
But the building needs to overlap, right? So are you saying that Ace in that strip mall would or would not be included? Deirdre? Is it-
strip malls
One.
are separate units, so half of it can be in and half of it can be out.
So the backside, so Primo is probably out, but the back
Correct.
half of that
Yes,
is probably.
she did mention
open.
that to me.
Correct.
Yes.
So it's really just down, it looks like maybe 3 businesses in red there along Wayzata Boulevard where they could be at. And then,
Primarily, yes.
Does it touch the east corner of the town center? Or is it still in the parking lot? You know what I'm talking about?
like San
Yeah, right
Pancho.
there, like San Pancho and what's next to San Pancho?
The smoke shop, the,
Yeah, but
Yeah, like-
is that inside or outside that line?
It's a little hard to tell, but here's what I would say. No matter what, this is the most restrictive you could be with this buffer map.
Yeah.
So I do see some value in asking Hannah after the fact to maybe provide a version of this buffer map applied to an actual aerial, so we can see exactly what it touches and doesn't touch. And I
That
see
should be
some
made-
value to that.
Yeah, that should be made clear, because
Yep.
otherwise it could be a matter of
I think
feet,
for our
like-
own use, that would be really, really helpful.
Yeah.
As far as, does that factor into the decision-making? Probably not so much, because if the goal is to be the most restrictive, this is the most
Yeah,
restrictive.
and I agree with that, but I'm thinking down the road,
Exactly.
somebody could come along and
Yep.
say, oh, this is just a foot away or foot
Yep.
over, and we need to be clear on what is within and without, outside
I
of
would
that.
agree, what we need to do is apply these buffer zones. Instead of to the GIS shape parcels, we need to do it to both the shapes and the aerials.
Yes.
And I think to have a version of both would be really helpful. Would you agree?
I would agree, and then just a list.
Yeah,
It
Just a
becomes
general
very
list.
ambiguous, to your point. You can't interpret a statute that's ambiguous and is unclear, and I
Yeah.
think that's a problem if we.
yep, and the buffer map isn't actually in the statute or in the ordinance.
Right.
The buffer map is a resource tool for staff to use. So the buffer map actually is just, the ordinance language says, 500 feet of a park, 500 feet of a daycare, 1,000 feet of a school. This is just the interpretation of that language put to paper. And the expansion of the Nelson Lakeside Park buffer zone is just asking you to recognize, the planning commission's asked you to recognize the disc golf targets as essentially a playground element to include in the Nelson Lakeside Park buffer zone.
And Highway 12.
And Highway 12, yes.
And I would say that in January, Hannah could come back with that information for you, with a list and with, the maps a little bit more clear for you, to have something to base your decision off of, at least on how she interprets these buffer maps. Because this isn't written in your ordinance
Right.
at all.
So we have one retail establishment, and as I understand, there's other areas that you can have the low potency gummies in with a restaurant, so that would be more likely in the downtown Salmon area?
Those are already done,
Yeah,
and they're not subject to the same situation.
okay.
And
But
we
it's
are,
part of the ordinance change.
we're already there. This ordinance changed, remember when we adopted the regulations to govern the lower potency hemp edibles? We also adopted a moratorium on the cannabis products and the cannabis businesses, because we knew we had to adopt the ordinance that dealt with those things too, but we needed the time to do it. We were waiting for the league model, we were waiting for something to base that ordinance on. What this new ordinance in front of you does, and what John had worked with you at the work session was to adopt basically that model and include all the language we've already done with our low potency hemp edibles. So the low potency hemp edibles is done. This maintains that the 5 we have registered are staying registered. They are where they are, they're done. They're getting billed $125 a year.
What I'm just saying is, kind of looking at city planning overview, basically, if somebody's gonna come in with a retail establishment, they're gonna go in that B1, B2 area with the red along Highway Casar 112.
Yep.
The business district is gonna be more of the low potency.
Yep.
Downtown area will be low potency.
Yes, anything that would occur in B1 or B2, anywhere near these buffer zones, would be one of the 5 allowed lower potency hemp edible retailers. We already have 5, so it wouldn't be a new one, because we're already maxed. And the ones we have are, some of them are in B2A, so they're not all there. The smoke shop is one of them. Birch's is actually one of them, because they're manufacturing a seltzer, so low potency seltzer.
Do they qualify as they're with a restaurant, but is that manufacturing? No, that doesn't come into.
Not that I know of.
They're,
I'm just curious.
that one's a work in progress.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and then the manufacturers are gonna go in the purple.
Yes.
Correct.
And so I was just looking big picture.
Yes, many different scopes of cannabis businesses. The cannabis businesses being a different animal than the low potency hemp retailers. And this map is all about the cannabis businesses.
Yeah,
Which
this
is
doesn't
one.
have anything to do with lower potency. The
Exactly.
LPH. This doesn't have
Exactly.
anything to do with that.
Yep, this is your medical, your retailers, your manufacturers, your everything. This
Just
is
have one, we're just,
one.
one, so-
Correct. You're one. And we might not even have that, because if there are so many in Minneapolis filling up those empty storefronts that we hit the 1 per 12,500 in Hennepin County, we might not have that one in Long Lake.
So how, can you explain how that works? Because I didn't really understand. They can go to the state to get a license, and then they can kind of have an area that they think they want to go into, and then do they send it to you to approve it? And then they have to get their license, then they make an application? Because the city, I forget the name of the agency, the cannabis-
OCM.
OCM, did they reach out, somewhere I saw that they reach out to you, to the city, to see if it's okay? And then the applicant has to apply to the city?
I don't think they know.
They
I
don't,
think they're still
County
working
doesn't
that
even
out
have- Hennepin County
procedurally.
doesn't
Right.
have their ordinance in place yet.
oh, really?
Yeah.
'Cause it
So
just
we're
seemed
just doing it
confusing.
against the
Who's
clock.
telling who?
Right.
I will tell you this though, like with the low potency hemp retailers, I basically said your registration is not complete at the city level until you have submitted your state registration to me. So, in this particular case, we're waiting on what that procedure would be, but
No matter what, they're gonna contact the city though and see if
Yes.
it's in this buffer zone or if it's out of it and if the zoning is appropriate. So the city
Okay.
will play that role in it.
That's before you even get an application. The city.
right.
Right, before the city does, yes.
Right.
So it has to go through the state first and then it comes to us. And the state won't send it on to you unless it's in the appropriate location, based on Hannah's determination of these buffer zones.
Okay.
So how does it, just one other question, how does the state figure that, oh, they sent it to you to, Hannah?
We will be the ones doing that
Yes.
interpretation. They will
Okay.
not be doing it for us.
Okay, okay.
Let them.
They don't even know what they're doing.
And can they
Right.
challenge it?
Sure. Court?
Well, the state wouldn't.
No, the applicant would.
The applicant, I don't believe that they would have grounds to, because all of this falls within the law. I think the only thing that could be up for any kind of debate, and I don't think that there's a lot of ground for that, would be the disc golf targets. But I don't think it's really, I think it's a solid argument.
I do too, from my own perspective, so.
Okay.
So, if you want me to continue here, I
Yeah,
will.
please.
Okay. So ordinance number 2024-02, is your, the part that's going in your overall city code, and this isn't related to your zoning ordinance, this is part of your city code. It's going to put in the cannabis-related definitions, it's gonna limit the number of retail businesses to the lowest number of registrations required by the state, which is 1. It's gonna limit the lower potency hemp edible retailers to 5, which we already talked about, so we're not worried about that right now. And it's gonna impose maximum buffers allowed by the state, we just got done talking about that. It's gonna limit the hours of operation of any cannabis retail business to between 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. There will be specific requirements for temporary cannabis events. So an event license will be required. It will be also subject to buffers in cannabis retail zoning. And there will be a requirement for security, medical professionals, hours of operation, on-site consumption prohibited, etc. And it will prohibit the public use of cannabis and LPHE. The intent is to allow in a broader range of zoning districts than cannabis retail in terms of the lower potency hemp edibles. The draft amendments that you have before you allows these LPHE retailers in as a permitted principal use in the B1, B2, B2A, and VC1 districts. And it's also adding the sales of lower potency hemp edibles compliant with the code as an accessory to a legal restaurant business in the B3 Lakeshore District, and I believe that applies to Birches.
Correct, yeah.
Can I ask you, so that's edibles, so, but there is edible liquid too?
The seltzers are defined as an edible.
Just
Okay.
low potency.
Okay.
The seltzers are defined as an edible, yeah.
And so your cannabis zoning amendments, which applies to the zoning ordinance, again, the city must designate at least one zoning district where cannabis retail is permitted. And so the draft amendments include as a permitted use in B2, the cannabis retail, adding specific regulations related to the cannabis retail in the general building and performance requirements, and then adding temporary cannabis events as I just talked about.
Can I ask one more question? So the lower potency edible, I know you said it's in the definition, could include the seltzer, and I am sure it does, but is that something that you can point to language to, or is that,
At state statute,
oh, it is? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of,
yep. It's state statute, it's our
it's
definitions.
already defined? Okay, I'm just
Yep.
asking the questions.
No, of course.
I'm sure it is, but
No, it is, and I'm just looking to see real quick.
I'm sure since you at one point kind of looked at that, because you're writing it as edibles. And they're already doing it.
Yes. Yeah, and part of we did this way actually for a reason, because we're expecting things can change and this is new. So there are places where you'll see definitions that say, as defined under Minnesota statute, subdivision, yada, yada, as it may be amended from time to time. That is the definition of lower potency hemp edible. And
Okay,
that was one of those. It specifically references the exact statute and subdivision, recognizing that the definition of that can wiggle a little as people get new and creative, but that also sets the threshold for the amount of THC, whether it's in a gummy or a liquid beverage. Basically, it's any kind of consumable. So the statute does lay it out specifically. But rather than have to change your code every time someone comes up with a new consumable, the idea is to refer to the statute. So
It looks like you have a couple of different locations in here where you refer to the statute, just
Yes.
because it's going to change.
yeah.
And so, again, the cannabis state licensed business with no retail component will be a permitted use in I-1 and I-2. And then it also adds standards for these businesses that would place requirements on such things as waste container storage, odors, vapor control, security, etc. And that's pretty standard in a lot in the cities that are going through this right now. So here's examples of your performance standards. It'll limit the hours from 10 to 9. Establishments will need to implement comprehensive security measures, adequate ventilation systems to ensure that there's no odor detectable. That's hard to say. No odor detectable outside or from adjacent property. Then it talks about the buffers that we talked about before. Signage needs to be consistent with your sign ordinance, and it may not depict cannabis leaves, slang terms for cannabis, or appeal to minors.
Yeah, so just to address ambiguity there, what appeals to minors? The cannabis leaves, that's well-defined. This child likes the color yellow. Can they not have
That's,
Does
that's,
the state
that's
define this?
the state defines it. This isn't
This is
something
the
that the
state,
city.
product
comes
of
up
the
with.
state's rule.
It's the state's rule. I'm guessing that'll change.
Okay.
Yeah.
No Teletubbies on there?
I'm
Right.
assuming, yeah, I'm
But I'm
assuming
just
there's no
thinking in
characters.
Reality, like somebody,
Yes.
if you have Christmas lights or flashing lights.
Yeah.
Right, that's-
yellow and green.
Well, and actually, our sign code does say, signs with electronic or flashing, flashing
that-
lights that, like we actually have language in our sign code that prohibits
Okay, so.
that
not
type of
flashing,
signage.
But then lights or something that draws attention.
Right, signs with flashing lights and moving parts wouldn't be permitted anyway,
By our ordinance.
by our
Right,
ordinance,
okay.
period, no matter
But I'm
the
guessing your
business.
ordinance doesn't talk about color.
Yeah.
of signs.
And again,
Correct.
my
So-
point there is just the profound ambiguity that's being
Correct.
delivered to us. And how nothing's defined here. So, okay.
That is probably not the
That's a
only
really
place
good-
you will find that.
It's a really good way to phrase that, profound ambiguity.
Very frustrating.
Because then you don't know, do we approve it? Do we not? Do we go after it?
And then finally, the ordinance will state that these businesses have to be conducted primarily within entirely within the principal structure, and there should be no outside storage of any kind related to these businesses. And then these are in the I-1, I-2 districts. I won't go through all of them because they're mostly the same, except for the stipulate that cannabis cultivation shall not be perceptible from the exterior of the building in which it occurs, and again, requiring site ventilation and security plans, and then provide minimum security requirements. So the planning commission recommendation was to adopt these ordinances, and then obviously to include the disc golf targets as a buffered park attraction when interpreting those. And if you have any other questions, let me know. I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. I don't know your city as well as Hannah in terms of locations, but we'll work it out.
I have one
Jeanette and I will.
last dumb question. So is the soccer dome, it's for the Mountain West Tonka Soccer Club? That's a school?
The facility is considered a school, right?
It appears there must be some sort of a school component in there, maybe
Because
it's
I
a
was just
rental.
wondering how it was defined, like, is there a definition
So
to your
I'm not sure.
what
ambiguity?
Hannah told me is that there's,
Minnesota Prep Academy.
Oh,
You're
okay.
prepping them for soccer.
so,
Okay,
is it okay to say that?
yes.
So Hannah had actually let me know that there's a school looking at that facility, which is why it's included.
Oh,
Also, it's not there yet.
oh, okay.
Sort of prep academy.
And that would make some sense as a partner, actually. That
Yeah,
would-
I don't have any details on what that is or who that is.
Oh, okay.
So, as a mechanic school, let's say somebody on 112, in one of those 3 boxes that was open,
Yeah.
starts a business, and then one of those daycares turns into a, whatever that's classified as a school. If the business is there and the school comes second, the business gets to stay.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
I would assume so.
That would then make a new buffer, so a new business couldn't pop up. They couldn't move next door, I guess, but they could stay with their license in that location.
Correct.
Because-
It's essentially grandfathered in.
Yeah.
And I think we have an awareness of the fact that, you know, the buffer map is this to start, but would be changeable. If a new daycare opens somewhere in town, we
Or if
would,
they leave.
or if they leave, we would need to revise our buffer map accordingly. So I think this isn't a stagnant situation, it's a fluid situation.
No,
This is
some
a
cities do that
tool.
for liquor licenses. I don't know if you guys do that. It's
No,
the
we
same-
haven't.
It's the same type of thing, so.
Isn't there a ballet school by the Caribou there? Does that count as a school?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, it is. But look, just looking at this map, there's very few places that they can go if it's a retail operation. And we're looking at, like, I think, Shane's property.
Auto?
And really that's,
Well, there's those 3 up there, and then on this corner, it, like that blue circle has to intersect with the physical building, not just with the grass in the corner or whatever, right? So
But that's-
I don't know where the building is on the.
I think
One
that's an
that's-
engineering
that's-
company. I mean, I don't think they're.
not gonna be doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're doing the 2, is it red and salmon? I guess I should.
Yeah, I think that's the color of is it the B1? Yeah, and at the next meeting, Hannah, I can talk to Hannah and have her do this on an aerial for you, so you can see where the buildings lie in relation to these buffer lines, and maybe she can put together a list for which businesses are affected and which aren't.
And if she's not able to make it to the meeting, I have a
Sure.
feeling I've been eating, sleeping, and breathing it enough that I can, probably if she can provide, not cannabis.
That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, I mean, if you decide that you want to make a recommendation on the disc golf, I don't even know that it's something that would have to come back.
That
but-
actually just got really funny. No, I have a feeling that I could, that I could show you, or at least highlight for you, like, just show you updated versions of maps with like applying aerial buildings overhead on her behalf if she's not able to be here in person, if she has a conflict. I know everyone in planning and legal right now is dealing with a
Yeah.
lot of cities, and some of them are still working through it even well into January.
Yeah,
So
I've done 3 of them myself, so.
But you're looking for motions now, right?
Yeah.
we are looking for motions on the ordinances now. One minor change, I know we don't have anyone really here in the audience to, for this to really be a big to-do with, but it did come up, so I do want to mention it. Mayor Renner had pointed out earlier today by email that there were a couple references, the city shall not charge an application fee, the terminology application. And there were a few places in the ordinance, which ironically was based off the league model ordinance, that the application fee as required, and, the term application fee was used in a couple other places. John did agree with Mayor Minor's point and did make some changes. I have them basically highlighted and read in a few places that I was prepared to put on an overhead if necessary. But in short, any of those that were appropriate to change, he's already changed them. And he also changed a reference to temporary cannabis application fee to just temporary cannabis event fee. Later in on the business ordinance side of things, there was a fee schedule. I had him run through that fee schedule with me. I put that recommendation together based on reviewing a bunch of other examples. This was kind of the max I could find us at. Basically, it was always, going with the highest number I could find in statute or half the amount of the state license fee, whatever the statute would let me do. That's what I went with. So I went with the big number that I could go with. For a temporary cannabis event, it did say license and a fee number. We just changed that to temporary cannabis event fee. So just wanted to let you know those minor changes had been made. The draft that is in the signature folder tonight has already been updated with those changes made by City Attorney Thames this evening.
Thank you, Jeanette, for that. Okay, anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2024-02, an ordinance amending the city code of ordinances, chapter 10, businesses and product regulation, article 8, cannabis, edible cannabinoids, and drug paraphernalia.
Then do you, I see there's a third motion to include the disc golf. Where's the best place to add that one? Is it to one of these other two or to motion separately?
It's like the 3 separate motions.
Let me just go back to that staff report here one quick sec.
Didn't see a motion, the number on that one, so I didn't know if you
I
wanted.
can second the motion that.
Actually,
It looks like she's
these are
doing
3
3.
separate motions, so
Separate,
let's go
okay.
ahead and do that. Yes, please, thank you.
I can second the one for John.
All right, motion by Divix, second by Qualley. Got it. Further discussion? I guess I'll just point out in case people are just tuning in at home that, this is, that the Long Lake City Council did not set out to, try to make it so rare cannabis can be sold in our city. This is a state statute that was passed a year or two ago, and now we're being kind of required to deal with it, but we have intentionally made it as restrictive as possible by limiting it to one retailer and limiting the physical locations in which they can be, increasing the buffer zones to the kind of the maximum sort of amounts based on the parks and things like that. So just wanted to point that out. All right, thank you. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
You're ready for the next one? I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-3, an ordinance amending the Long Lake zoning ordinance related to cannabis and lower potency hemp edible businesses.
I'll second that. Thank you. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
make the last one, motion to include the disc golf targets as a buffered park attraction.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you, Jeanette. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, John Thames, your city attorney, and Hannah for putting a lot of work in this as well. And we're set before the deadline here, and I got that done at least, so one less thing to worry about. Okay, with that, we'll move on to next item. This is a big packet tonight. Get through this. All right, item C, public hearing, adoption of an ordinance amending city code to reflect the implementation of a residential organics recycling collection program. Jeanette, this must be you.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been in ordinance mode at City Hall.
Right.
Mayor and Council will recall back on September 17th, the council had approved entering into a contract with Waste Management, a new 5-year contract for providing bi-weekly residential recycling collection. That's continuing our single sort curbside recycling program. Also providing refuse and recycling collection for city buildings and facilities at no charge. That was a new win for us. Last but not least, executing a bid ad for providing a weekly citywide organics collection service at residences on an opt-in basis. By opt-in basis, that doesn't mean, unfortunately, that the charge is opt-in, because Hennepin County's organics mandates and the state law does not allow for the charge to be optional. But at least the cart is optional, so you don't have to have 1 million carts at your residence if you choose not to. We did end up approving that portion of the contract as well, because it allowed us, as we realized quickly, to be able to offer organics at a rate that was significantly lower than what haulers have been charging our residents under what we had previously had in code, which was to require the haulers provide the service to residents. So the next step that followed that, of course, was then what is before you today, which is to make the changes in city code to remove that hauler mandate requiring that they provide organics, and to make changes where needed to reflect that we are now providing the organic
I got
service.
confused in it because it says, every household occupant owner of any residence shall be provided one or more containers by their designated hauler for the premise to receive and contain all refuge, recycled material, and organics. And then I know the last sentence says that, no, it's the city's gonna provide it.
Okay, which, I'm sorry, what page and section?
Section 1A, it starts out, so,
Yep.
shouldn't that be like designated to receive all refuge? Because the city's providing the recycle and organics.
No, because, well, see, here's the situation here. Industrial and commercial establishments and multifamily.
Right, but it says owner of any residence, so that would, like, could we switch it to, because it says attached and detached single family, well, isn't the owner of any residence? It seems like you got one hand, if you own a residence, your hauler has to provide recycling and organics, and then if you're a detached or attached single-family home, the city's gonna provide it. See the overlap? So could we reword that, so that's confusing.
The first statement is an in general, overall.
The whole thing is confusing, Jeanette. I would kind of make it clear, like, separate it, like, because it's included in both buckets. If you have a residence, there's nothing about except single. Maybe you could even say owner of a resident except attached and detached single-family homes.
Could we take a designated hauler there?
No,
It's a designated,
no.
because we're only adding the language, it's underlined, everybody.
Correct,
I mean, that's
right.
the-
Yeah, the other language is already in the code.
But you're not correcting it because it's no longer applicable for attached and detached single-family homes.
Well, can you just take out organics?
Yeah, but they're not doing recycling.
Well,
So they're still
let me
doing
just
recycling.
take a read 1 second here, okay?
Okay, it takes a while to read it. No, I mean, seriously, I get confused.
Well, the problem is that this first sentence is designed to be an in general statement. That's why
I
it
know,
says
but you
general.
can write it so
No.
that it doesn't apply to everything in the sentence.
No, I understand. It's already been written that way. It's not, it's existing.
Well, the underlined is the added.
The underlined is the added, correct.
But I can't say one thing and then, so what you're saying is by adding something and underlining, that negates everything that you've said before, which usually doesn't do that. You cross it out, or you rewrite
Yeah,
it.
you can cross out.
In code, what you can do is you can add additions by underlining and strike out deletions.
Right, but I've never seen a code that has ambiguous language where they have both.
No,
You're trying to
I
do
understand
that.
what you're saying. I'm just
Well, can you
looking
just-
to read the paragraph a
Can you
bit.
just strike organics in the sentence before that one?
That's what I'm looking to read right now.
Let's let her read that, I guess, and then we'll reconvene.
You know what? Yes, I would say and/or organics, just strike that.
What about the recyclable material?
Well, that's still true.
No, because that's still true.
So the haulers can provide recyclable, because we're providing, the city provides this recycling for some residents.
No, the haulers would give them the recycling, they just pay us. The residents just pay us. We don't have carts sitting for us to drop off, the city's not providing them.
Oh, so the, oh. okay.
Provider is.
Okay. all
Right. And
Then just do what John said.
just strike out and/or organics.
Yeah.
We can just delete that.
Well, I'm still confused though, because it says the haulers will give, says attach and detach, receive containers for recycle through the city's contracted recycling. provider.
Correct. Because that's who it is. We contract with Waste Management. They receive their containers through our recycling
Okay,
service.
so, but the designated hauler would not provide the the thing for the recycling, and they never have.
Not for those, but industrial, commercial.
I know, but it says owner of any
restaurants.
resident too. See what, like, I think kind
I
of.
think
maybe-
what you're looking for is there to be 3 sentences instead of 1.
I think that would be a good idea, 'cause, to make them consistent. Because you want the code to be accurate, and I'm sure John James can kind of do this real quickly.
John Thames.
James, yeah.
Yeah, so we wouldn't want recyclable, I guess, in the recyclable materials in that first sentence, maybe put that into a second sentence, or could that be worked into the,
Actually, what's
New
funny is,
sentence.
he
he
approved
probably
and wrote the
helped.
first
Yeah,
one, yes.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, did he?
This has been approved and written by him the first time.
He probably
correct.
was, he didn't notice it. You know, you could say, restaurants, industrial establishments, if they're gonna
How
have,
about this? I think I know what you're trying to achieve. What you're trying to achieve is separating out how the residents are residences in some way, shape, or form are addressed
solely by the last paragraph.
versus the restaurants, businesses. I understand what you're trying to address in that amendment.
So 3 sentences. Everybody has their own designated hauler for trash. Residents have the city contracted hauler for organics and recycling, and industrial can get their stuff directly from their haulers for recycling and organics. Is that what we want, 3 sentences?
I think that would work.
Because isn't that what
Covered
we're
in-
trying to achieve?
So what's the best way to do that, Jeanette? Do we just approve it with the intent that you, staff would capture that?
The way I see this is every household or occupant or owner of any residence in any restaurant, industrial establishment, or commercial establishment shall be provided 1 or more containers by their designated hauler for their premises to receive and contain all refuse, which may accumulate between
That's perfect.
elections or
All
other
refuse.
disposal. All normal accumulate, and then you need another sentence that says, every household or occupant or owner of any residence shall be provided 1 or more container by their designated hauler to receive and contain all refuse.
Yep, and then the attached.
I get it. I get where
Yeah.
we're going. I got it. I got it.
Nice.
I think the same thing
Good,
applies
thank you.
to some of the other paragraphs.
Yes, I can accomplish that.
Okay, so good observation there, Deirdre. Thank you. All right, I forget, were you done kind of presenting on this, Jeanette? or
I
did
sure
you-
can be, because I think we all, I mean, I think we all
we
understand.
talked about
This
this.
is simply a necessary step
Right.
to just follow through on the action we've taken. I will just provide, before we get to the public hearing part of things, a short update that we are getting new signups already. I've had half a dozen in the last couple days alone. And I've also had a fair amount of positive feedback that we're taking this on.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because folks are seeing the cost savings that is resulting from it. And the other thing that I've heard, which was a surprise, was that's great because the customer service line I've been calling is impossible to get through. And then there's my other favorite, which was my other service was a bi-weekly pickup, which wasn't so great in the summer. So it's wonderful to pay less and get weekly collection in the summer, so
That is nice.
feedback has been positive while recognizing that the mandate is not what all of us are looking for. But if we're gonna have it, it seems like some of the feedback so far has been positive, and we hope that continues to trend. So, yes, before we can take action on this, because this is a city code amendment, technically we do have to hold a public hearing.
Right, all right. Let's go ahead and do that. Open up the public hearing at 7:38 PM. You thought you were just coming to watch. All right, close the public hearing, 7:38 PM. Okay. Anyone want to make a motion on this one?
I can make a motion to amend the city code as verbally, as amended, as set forth and amended by Jeanette, proposed amendments by Jeanette. I don't know if you can get that all down.
Would a suggestion help?
Sure.
I think I can probably help with this one. So what we are looking for tonight is a motion to adopt ordinance number 2024-04, amending the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 28, Solid Waste, and Chapter 36, Utilities, to reflect the city's implementation of a residential curbside organics recycling collection program, with amendments discussed at the meeting to make changes to Section 1, Subdivision A under General Requirement to separate out residential and business services.
And also too, I think it might kind of apply to, might look at that, it might apply to Section 2A. Okay,
Actually,
then I-
that's everything. There is a reason for that,
Okay.
because we don't want any hauler of any kind trying to engage in any activity without already being licensed to do that. And otherwise, what that results in is that no hauler can apply for organics or recycling or anything unless they're already licensed to operate here in our community, which means we don't end up with more than 3 licenses.
You know, I just looked through it and I didn't know if some of those other things
Absolutely.
Carried down.
Yes,
were carried forward.
correct,
Yeah.
correct.
So I think we're all set.
So you like that motion?
I love that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All right, motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, let's work on that, Jeanette. Nice to have. Okay, item 7D, adoption of 2025 city fee schedule. Jeanette, is this you as well?
Last but not least. This is annual adoption of our fee schedule for the coming year. We do need to get this on the books so that as of January 1, since this is our last meeting before the end of the year, we want to make sure we have next year's fee schedule on the books and up and ready before the changeover of the year. We're not recommending any changes in fees at this time. That doesn't mean we might not look at things throughout the year. I think that could be possible. Just a couple of notes that the fee schedule that's been prepared as an attachment to this year's ordinance does include the new utility rates that were just adopted by council at the last meeting. It also includes the cannabis registration fees that were adopted by ordinance this evening. So this ordinance before you this evening to adopt the 2025 fee schedule is all inclusive of the actions taken tonight and at the last council meeting.
I could make a motion to approve,
Thank you.
unless people want to discuss this. And the reason why I jumped in is because I don't think people want to discuss it.
No, I think I'm good with that.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-05, adopting the 2025 fee schedule for the city of Long Lake, and to direct staff to publish a summary ordinance.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just a quick update regarding what we talked about a couple weeks ago with the Met Council wastewater treatment charge that was going up like $99,000 next year. Amanda's reached out to our Met Council member, Dr. Tyrone Carter, and he is looking into it and is going to get back to us and might have somebody come either present to us or just provide us additional information as to why Long Lake's charges are going up so much next year. So stay tuned for that, staff.
Thanks, Amanda.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah. Okay, item 7E, adoption of final payable 2025 levy, city budget, capital improvement program, and pay plan resolutions. Scott.
Thanks, Mayor. I gotta hit the source button. All right, so we touched this at the work session, but this is the 2025 final budget meeting. This is the opportunity to where we get to set the budget, set the levy, and final out our 2025 budget moving forward. Some of the items that are included in this budget is showing that state aid is at $0. It's been that way for a handful of years, so maybe I'll have to start updating it when we do receive it versus not getting it. We're expecting the permitting revenues to remain flat, so essentially what we're seeing is no large new developments like we've seen in the past, but we're seeing more, expecting more revenue related to upgrades and remodels of the current home base, and with that does come the expenses that you also see in the budget related to inspections of those new constructions or remodels. There was a 3% salary range for staff, along with understanding that we have some newer employees that will be getting step salaries as they are going through their longevity with the city of Long Lake. And then there's also a 10% increase in health insurance premiums that have also been included in this budget. As we remember, in 2025, our preliminary levy was adopted in September, and staff is recommending that we keep the same levy amount as set. Obviously, we can go down if we choose to, but we just can't go up, and that was unless we have special reasoning. And as of right now, staff is not seeing any reason for special session to go into an increase of the preliminary levy. So just to highlight, we did see a large net tax capacity increase from 24 to 25, which adds about $168,000 to that levy tax capacity, which is 10.65%, which then turns around with a no city rate increase, and that is something this council has been trying to do for the last handful of years, is try to keep the rate going down or stay flat. We've been doing a pretty good job of keeping the rate same. We are starting to see maybe the levy creep up, but right now we've had a couple of 2 years or so of unexpected expenditures coming through related to the fire department and legal fees, et cetera. So, in hindsight, it's kind of glad that we've kind of captured a little bit more. But I do believe at the end of 25, going into 26, we'll have a better understanding of where Long Lake stands. And I do believe we can do some reallocation of some of that money and find some projects that actually can be completed, such as road projects or bonding for some important improvements. Major city general capital items that is also included in this budget. City hall building upgrades. As we know, this building has been around since the early 2000s and it hasn't been updated over the course of that time. I did include $150,000 into legal fees for future fire expenses possibly that could happen. But I know that there's some new change of management or leadership between Long Lake and Orono. Not so much on Long Lake, but we'll have some good relations to work on, and maybe we can figure out, what the future of fire looks like. And also, there's a $25,000 line item in there for replacing of the lawnmowers during the spring. Ours are getting to end of use, and so it's looking like we should work towards upgrading those a little bit. And then also on your CIP, you'll see that there is the new fire rescue utility payment, and it was estimated at $240,000. We don't have final invoice for that, or at least it's on the CIP to be approved, because it has been ordered and should be arriving anytime.
By the way, Orono's decision on that was not to participate in that, or?
They did not approve the 2025 CIP for the fire department, Long Lake Fire Department. They approved the budget, operation expenses, but they did not do the CIP.
Which means they don't pay any part of this $240,000.
Essentially, yes.
As of now, at least.
Because they have their own on order, don't they? As you said, it was
They have two on order.
2 on order and it's twice the price?
One is almost, yes.
Well, that's irrelevant. I mean, it was on the CIP because that's what we have in our contract.
And that's what it was approved at the Fire Advisory Board.
Right, yeah. But those members at the Fire Advisory Board, I don't think they both voted in favor of it at the council meeting.
I don't remember how the conversation went, but it almost like it wasn't voted for. I don't know if it was denied,
Yeah.
it just wasn't approved.
Well, I think opinion was expressed, at least from one of them, that was not in favor of it, one of the Fire Advisory Board members. So, but I couldn't remember if there was an actual vote that was held or not. But I think they probably just didn't even vote on it.
I don't believe it was even brought to a vote,
Okay.
correct. So this is just a snapshot of the general fund from 24 to 25. You can kind of see the department breakdowns on some of the line or overall increases per department. If you bring it all the way down to the bottom line with all those additions that we were talking about underneath the kind of those capital improvements, it shows between the tax levy and budget revenues and expenses that there's a difference of about a little over $13,700 as a surplus as it currently sits. But if we back off those major general purchases or capital improvements, it was around $60,000 or so. That was the overall budget increase from 24 to 25. And you can see on this slide that $19,000 of it was the fire department contract increase, along with the police contract increase that we've always had as an annual increase. The inspections that I talked about before with the revenues going up, there's also expenses associated with that, so it's usually close enough to offset with the revenue that it's mostly a wash, but just gets us better in line on staying on budget. You know, when you see increases or decreases of large percents, you just want to try staying close as possible. And then with Public Works, an additional $7,000 was added for the city-owned, removal of city-owned infected trees related to the emerald borer. And then also additional $5,000 for fleet parts. So some of our equipment is aging and or parts or pieces that are just need to be replaced. So we're trying to, stay on top of that. So, because we've done a really good job of keeping our, let's say used equipment that we've been purchasing over the last handful of years up and running and not getting into the high dollar inflated values on, say, trucks, plows, and, street sweepers. Here's a quick snapshot of the budget overview related to the utility funds. This includes the wage not wage, sorry, the rate increases that was just adopted on the fee schedule and the expenses associated with it. If you look in the middle column, it shows your cash position, if you were including depreciation and capital improvements. But if you pull those both items out, you'll see that the cash position increases are on the far right side. So with the rates and estimated expenses, they both will have a positive cash flow, which does help us build that balance up a little bit and helps us do, water main breaks, sewer lining, et cetera, in street projects. So this is the overall budget. You see the revenues, you see the expenses. There is a little bit of an offset, about $300,000, and that's due to that inflation portion of. Not inflation. Depreciation of the utilities related to your revenues. As right now, we're not capturing all depreciation in our rates. So, and it does help capture the Met Council fees that are also been increased that Charlie just mentioned. So I guess kind of with that, that is all I have on the budget, but I can answer any questions you may have. There is supporting document additional to everything I provide on the spreadsheet inside your packet. And there's, I believe, 4 motions for the council to approve. And after that, I can take some questions.
All right, any questions for Scott? Let's say we talked about this in the work session for an hour and a half roughly, and we've talked about it before too, back in November. Additional questions tonight or comments? If not, there's a series of motions we need to pass on this item. For any
Actually, I'd like to comment on something before we do that. I was going to say it during other business, but it kind of relates to this, and regarding the fire budget and expenses. It's been suggested by a member of the current Orono Council that somehow, the suggestion is that Long Lake is somehow profiting from Orono's contribution to the contract. And in fact, it's been stated several times in something like this, that Orono pays 95% of the budget, and why should Orono be paying for Long Lake's budget? It's been stated that way. Well, there's 2 things wrong with that statement. First of all, it's not 95%, but it's 85%, but it slowly grew over the last several weeks. And the other thing that's wrong with that statement is, why should we pay for Long Lake's budget, is suggesting that somehow Long Lake is profiting from Orono's participation in this 3-city JPA that we have, or this 3-city agreement that we have. And in that agreement, we are each paying for the service areas that we have, and it's a percentage of the total service area. So, and again, unlike the way Orono has contracts with other cities, we don't profit from this contract, whereas they do profit, and it's been shown in their financial reports that they get a profit from the contracts with this another city, whether it's Public Works or police, and that goes into their general fund, I believe, or somehow supplements their revenue. Our fire arrangement is a not-for-profit agreement among the cities. So if there is a surplus, that amount then is refunded to the 3 cities. And in fact, that's what happened last year in '23, right? And we sent that money back to Orono, Medina, and Long Lake based on the percentages. And so I just want to make that clear, that if there's a suggestion that somehow the money that's coming into the Long Lake Fire Department from the other cities is in this 3-city agreement, Medina and Orono and Long Lake, if there's a suggestion that somehow that is Long Lake is profiting from that, or Long Lake is lining our own pockets with that, that's just simply not true. And like I said, if there's we came in under budget so that we didn't spend it all, then that money is returned to those 3 cities. That's all I wanted to say, to clarify.
Well stated. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll make a motion then to adopt resolution number 2024-55, establishing the final tax levy collectible in 2025.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Make motion two, motion to adopt resolution number 2024-56, establishing the final 2025 total city budget.
Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Motion three, motion to adopt resolution 2024-57, establishing the 2025 capital improvement plan or CIP.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Should had you do all these, Gina, this year, the last year. You won't be around to be.
You want me to do the last one?
Go for it.
Motion number 4, motion to adopt resolution number 2024-58, establishing the 2025 pay plan.
Thank you. I'll second that. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And motion number 5, motion to approve general fund transfers as presented.
Thank you. Second from Feldman. All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you, Scott, and others for your work in that and putting that together. There's a lot of moving pieces to our annual levy and budget. All right. So with that, I guess we move on to other business, 8, other business. Councilmember Qualley.
Only want to thank Public Works. They were out early, was it Sunday with the plow, so, thanks.
All right, Councilmember Feldman.
Yeah, well, thank you again, Gina, for your service to the city and for the staff. Hope everybody has a great holiday. And that's all for me.
Councilmember Dymock.
I just want to jump on that and say thanks, Gina, for your years of service, and I wish you well
Thank you.
in what the next chapter of your life is.
Likewise.
Yes. All right, thank you. Same here, Gina. Gonna miss you, and you always got a place here at the table for 4 years or 8 years or whatever life brings you. But yeah, we hope to stop and see you up there. I love going up
Yeah.
to North Shore and Boundary Waters and stuff, so
Please too.
be a stranger. But besides that, yeah, I don't know if I mentioned the mayor comments, just, I want to thank the Long Lake Area Chamber of Commerce for putting on a little kind of a holiday event at the Red Rooster last week. It's a good turnout there of Orono residents and Long Lake and business owners and that sort of thing, so good to see that. And wish everybody great holidays and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year and all that. And yeah, just again, finishing up the year, I just want to reiterate how much I've appreciated serving with all of you over the past year or 4 years or 6 years, whatever the case might be. And I think we have a really, really great council right now, really great staff. I think, we're helping to get the city through some pretty tumultuous times here, and looking forward to serving with Councilmember-elect Newcomer here in the coming week, or in the coming year. And you'll be an excellent addition to the council as well, especially with all your background in public service and other things. So looking forward to having you sitting up here in a couple of weeks as well. But bon voyage, Gina, and thank you again. All right, your turn.
No, I just want to reiterate thank you to this council, the city staff, to incoming council member, and to our community. It's been a really wonderful 4 years serving, and I am so dang proud of us for what we have endured and standing up for what's right and for this city and for what we believe to be a more sustainable path forward. With relation to fire. So, and I want to thank the community members in Long Lake and Orono who have stood up for that just as much. I know it's not easy to speak out, but there have been some amazing people who've you know, had a similar mindset and spoken out. And kudos to the city of Orono for getting out and voting and making their voices heard. So I look forward to hearing positive things in that regard in the future years, and I'll be checking in on how things are going with you guys. So, but thanks again for everything.
Great. All right, Scott?
Yeah, I want to echo that. I also am thankful for Gina for the last 4 years. We've gotten a lot accomplished, and I can kind of probably speak for most staff. Like, it sucks losing a really good council member, and you know, we wish you could stay for another 4 years, but we get it. It's fine. But also wish everybody happy holidays, and this is the last meeting of the year, so we'll see you guys all bright and early, January 7th, and I'm excited to work with Todd.
That's
So.
right.
Yeah, another year, another book closed. So crazy.
I know. Flew by. All right, Amanda.
I would like to say thank you to Councilmember Joyce for being a wonderful council member to work with. You've been here for most of my time here as well, and it's been a pleasure. And I'd like to thank all the council and the mayor this year because you guys have done a wonderful job for our city. We've come so far, and I think that the entire time we kept our integrity, and I'm extremely proud to work for Long Lake. And I think you guys are the reason. So thank you
for saying that, and appreciate that. All right, last but not least, Jeanette.
I refuse to say bye. I'm taking a road trip to Grandma.
Yes.
And I promised my dad I was doing that, and I am so texting when I get down, so I'm just not saying bye.
Awesome.
It's not happening,
I like it.
but I am.
I think Mark has that mic.
Sorry.
Not that again.
She was
I am
typing.
always in
Okay, no-
microphone trouble.
Now you got to start all over again. No. Okay.
There goes my plan to hide under the desk.
And you're not a soft speaker.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays to every one of you. Thank you for this year. It has been a year of roller coasters and challenges. It is, I think it's amazing as a staff and council. Boy, have we done a lot, huh? We've accomplished a lot. We've learned from working together with and for each other. And I can't wait to see what comes ahead. I think it's only going to get better. I think as a city, we get a little bit better and learn new things all the time. So thank you for bearing with us sometimes too. You know, I know everything is a two-way street. I know sometimes maybe we can't make magic happen as fast as we wish we could. But just know that we appreciate you and how grateful we are that you have our backs. And I hope you know that we have yours. So thank you for everything, and wish you a happiest of holidays with your families.
Thanks, Jeanette. Same to you. Appreciate that. Okay, well, so we've got just city offices closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We have city offices closed on Wednesday, January 1st, of course, New Year's Day, so don't come in those days to pay your water bill or anything. Do that online from the comfort of your own home. And I hope the staff has some nice days off on those days. And otherwise, we'll meet next on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, at, to be determined, actually, so far, no work session in the work, maybe, or not?
So far, in part because we do need to administer an oath of office to a new council member.
Yeah.
And it's so much more fun to be doing that at a regular meeting than at a work session, and for someone to take their seat, you know, officially. So I don't know if we have to have a work session, we can do it at a work session, but it's always nice to do that at a regular meeting. So if anything changes and we do need to hold a work session as a priority, by all means, let us know. We can schedule that. We can do the oath of office if needed there, but we'd like to hold off and just do that at the regular meeting if possible. So.
It's good. You free that night, Todd?
Family members coming?
Good. Good. Excellent. All right. Last call. Anybody else? No? All right, if there's no objection, we'll adjourn the meeting by general consent, but I'm gonna have Gina.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Just tell me when.
Any objection? No, meeting is adjourned.
Awesome.
Mayor of Grand Marais. Hear it now.